Have you ever been in a situation where an ultimatum has affected the way you behave or the way you act in certain situations? Or better yet, has it helped you help others in a sense that you stop them from doing something that's wrong? For example, when I was a kid, maybe 4 or 5, maybe 6 years old, I used to go to the grocery store with my mom, and I used to steal little toys from the grocery store. The reason why was, when you're a kid, you obviously, you want as many toys as you can because, well, toys are like the gold mine when you're a kid. So, maybe like 3 or 4 times a month, my mom would buy me like maybe 1 or 2 toys. But, she wouldn't go too overboard because, you spoil a kid too much and they tend to act out more. When I was a kid, I always wanted more toys. I would get bored with a toy within maybe like 1 or 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks max. So when we would go to the grocery store, I would always tell my mom, "Oh, like I'll meet you in the cash registers. Like I'm gonna go look at the toys." Now the toys that I would look at were from a company named Matchbox. Now Matchbox made these little cars or little like tiny little model planes. It was kind of like Hot Wheels, but a little bit more realistic looking. And so what I would do is I would just stand there and like, wow, like these toys are so cool. And well, I wanted them all. Like I wanted all those toys, and I would ask my mom, like, hey, can I get this? It's only like $5 or $6. She was like, no, mijo. Like I already bought you a toy like not too long ago. You can play with that one. So I would get all bummed out. So the only thing I could do there at that point was just look at them. Until one day I finally got the courage to, take one of them out of the box. I always see, I got the box and I was looking around to see if anyone was there, but nobody goes to the toy section but kids. And there were no kids there at the time. So what I did was I opened the box and I took the plane out and I started like, playing around with it because, that's what you do with a toy. And, I felt cool. And then when it was time for, to pay at the cash register, my mom would say, hey, put that toy away, like we're leaving. I'm not going to buy that for you. So she would turn her back and, she would walk towards the register. So I would get all bummed out. And then I would look at it and I looked around and I thought, well, it's already out of the box. I mean, like, why don't I just take it? So I ended up taking it and, stealing the toy so I could have more toys. And it got to a point where, almost every time we went to HEB, I would do that. I would steal a little plane or a little car out of the box. So it got to a point where I just had so many of them, lying all over the house. My mom would get mad at me because they were lying around the house, but then she started to notice that, where is he getting all these planes from? I don't remember buying these for him. So I guess she started catching on to my little scheme. I guess I got kind of lazy, hiding it from her. And, one day she ended up following me to the toy section and, peeking around the corner to see what I was doing. And she caught me in the act of what I was doing, taking the plane out of the box and putting it in my pocket. So that one time, after I did it, I ran to the cash register and she was already there paying. She already knew what was going on. So, once we paid and got to the car, I took out the plane and I started playing with it. And she looked back and she said, "Where did you get that?" And I kind of freaked out and I said, "Oh, you bought it from me, remember?" And she said, "Oh, okay." So we ended up driving home and I thought I convinced her and I was like, wow, this doesn't get any better. I can finally trick my mom into thinking that she's buying me these toys when in reality I'm stealing them. So when we got home, she said, "David, come to my room. I'm going to talk to you." So, I didn't think anything too much about it. And then she said, "I'm going to give you one of two options." She said, number one, she said, "I can either tell your dad what you're doing right now, that you're stealing planes from that store, and he's gonna get mad at you, and You know, he's gonna ground you for a week or two. He said, you could pick that one, or number two is we go back to HEB. I tell the employee that you're stealing all of these planes. They get the police involved, and you're in big trouble. So at that point, I was totally freaked out of my mind. I was scared. You know, I'm pretty sure you can guess what choice I picked. I picked the one where I got grounded for 2 weeks. But you know, being so scared for something that's, you know, so minuscule and you know, so bad, it's kind of crazy. You know, who knows? Maybe you know, at this age, I'm stealing planes. Next thing you know, I'm stealing clothes from, you know, at the mall, or stealing phones from Best Buy, and actually getting caught and getting jail time for it. So I'm guessing that situation kind of shaped my behavior on how I take things, how I act. So you know, every time you know that situation comes up, you know, I always remember that one time where you know, I got caught stealing, and every time, you know, I'm with my friends at another store, they'll pick up like something small or minuscule. They say, well, they'll get a candy, and they'll think, well, I mean, this is $3. I don't really feel like getting in that long line, you know, for a $3 candy. You know, I could just get away with it. You know, and then I tell them, you know, is it really worth it? Is that $3 candy really worth you getting in trouble with the police and the loss prevention there at the store, and then them having your face in the front saying, this is a thief, you know, watch out. And they're always gonna remember you. And I tell them, is it really worth it? And then, you know, I always tend to you know, guide them to the path that isn't, you know, the wrong path. You know, I always tell them to take the right path. So, you know, that one situation when I was little, you know, it really helped me shape, you know, the way I act and the way I perceive things. You know, I always think that what's morally good and, you know, not just good for you, you know, it's always important to think like that. And, you know, that's just one of the situations, you know, that's just helped me in life today.